Hello, we are continuing our conversation on the sexualization of women. So I've highlighted a few scenarios in my previous video. So this is a continuation of the sexualization of women, and we are referring largely to the system of the patriarchy. So we have corporatization. We have the corporate woman. I have been a corporate woman. In fact, I was a corporate woman I refer to myself as such then when I was in the system. So I was in that system for 15 years. So I can talk about that system in relation to what's been done to the woman to make her forget her own innate power. Before I begin, I have a retreat coming up in Egypt in April, and I've put the details of the links to that retreat. I encourage you to come to that retreat because we are at a time on our evolutionary path where things are changing, and they are changing really, really fast. So that being said, I want to talk about the corporate woman. So in the system of the patriarchy, we have been largely believed to have a certain role to play, although the role is mainly controlled. The role is not by our own needs. In other words, it's not what we would like to do as women. In a fashion to bring this system to bear, women spoke up, and they're still speaking up, but they're speaking in the system that have aim and have subdued the power of women. And I am not saying to speak up or to do whatever you are doing, or the movements that you are setting up in this system, the women movement, the women empowerment, they are not bad in themselves. But what I am trying to highlight here is we are asking for permission. It's almost like the creator is asking for permission in the system that subjugates it. And of course, what will happen when you ask? Of course, you'll be given you'll be granted and given a certain level of rights. And those levels of rights are, okay, let's give women a say, the choice over their body and what they want to do, but we'll still hold that control over them. We will track their movements in that system, but we are still in control. So the system of the patriarchy largely has come about as a result of force and domination. And this happened 6,000 years ago or more, where the system of the natural order, the system of the natural divine order was the matriarchal system. And the matriarchal system is all about expression. It's all about abundance. It's all about nurturing. It's all about compassion. It's all about inclusion. It's not about taking. It's not about usurpation. It's not about force. It's not about domination. It's not about war. It's about preservation. It's about community. It's about nurturing. It's about enabling. And it's about opening to our own innate expression, expressing ourselves. So we come back to the corporate woman. So in the system of the patriarchy, the woman is given the right, but she's not allowed to go beyond certain parameters. We've seen where women are now holding certain roles in the corporate world. But there's unequal pay. For a woman to succeed in that environment, in the corporate environment, she must prove that she can do what a man does. That's another thing. Proving her worth in the patriarchal system in order to be known, in order to be seen. And in the process of proving her worth, she must dumb down her innate power, her intuitive ability. She must be disconnected from her womb in order to be seen as tough in the business of the patriarchy. And by cutting herself from her innate power, from her innate voice, what then happened? She is then open to the control of the patriarchy. You must be tough. You must be assertive. You must be nonchalant, or whatever that is. You must be in a certain way. You must not express emotions because you're seen as too weak when you express emotion. You must not allow your emotion cloud your mind. You must use your mind. Naturally, the woman is linked with the cycle of the moon. And the moon is all about our emotion. The moon is all about intuition. Her feminine cycle goes with the moon cycle. And by completely cutting herself away from her natural cycle, she cuts herself away from her own innate power. She forgets herself. And she takes on the persona that is defined for her in the patriarchal system. Yes, she is a businesswoman. Yes, she is independent. And yes, she has a level of authority in the patriarchal world. And yes, she can speak. A level of speech allowed in the patriarchal world. But inside of the woman, her softness is diminished. And she takes on what we call this alpha woman, this boss woman. There's nothing wrong with that if that is what you want. But we are talking about the innate feminine power which she holds in her womb. And through her expression of her innate feminine power, she speaks from her intuition, her emotions. Her emotion is an indicator of where she's at. And her authentic voice, her truth, her authentic voice comes from her womb, not from the head. But in the corporate world, she is told to use her brain. Because if you're seen as not using your brain, you're something else. You're being labeled as too hormonal, too emotional, too weak. So the corporate woman and a woman who has embraced their feminine power are two separate entities, are two separate entities. So, but we're talking about the corporate woman. So the corporate woman is divorced from her own authentic power, and therefore, when she's expressing herself as a corporate woman, she's expressing that from a place of lack, from a place of seeking validation. And we all know about seeking external validation other than the validation that comes from you. So the corporate woman constantly seeks to furnish her externals to match the role so that people can see her as such. I am this powerful alpha boss woman who know what to do. But is that really the case? Is that really the case? Are you truly, I want to put this question to the corporate woman. Are you really being yourself? Do you feel like you are heard in the environment that you are? Are you speaking your truth though? Are you speaking from your womb? Are you being authentic? Are you being true to yourself, or do you have to edit yourself? Do you have to edit yourself to operate in the corporate world? Are you really confident, or are you just using your role as a businesswoman, as a corporate woman, as a CEO, as an executive to mask yourself? Because I'll tell you what, after a few years, you will come to realize that all these times that you've disconnected from yourself, you've been living a life that others have dictated to you. You've been living an obligated life. And what then begins to happen? What begins to happen when your authentic self is that self that you truly wish to express in your experience? What then begins to happen? You begin to question yourself, and it becomes a choice as to choosing you or choosing the external? Are you being authentically you? Or are you being inauthentically you? This is the question. It's a simple question. But I know it takes a lot of inner inquiry, asking ourselves those hard questions as women. What is really important to you as a woman? This is the question, and I'll leave you with that question. If you'd like to know more about the retreats in Egypt, I'd love to speak to you. The link is attached to this video, to the commentary in this video. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.